Hey YouTube, it's your girl Patrice, and today I'm coming with a story time, and this particular story time is my birth story. So basically what happened leading up to labor, during labor, and a little bit after labor. So if you watched my last video, well, our last video, Rob's not here right now, but if you watched our last video, it was my labor and delivery vlog. So now I'm going to tell you the story of how we got to where we got to. Then I also have an extra clip of right after I gave birth. I forgot to put it in the labor and delivery vlog, so I'll put it here. But yeah, so I guess we'll start from the beginning. Also, Kingston is 2 months. He'll be 10 weeks on Saturday. So he's growing pretty quickly, and it took me a little minute to make this video. Because you know, I've been just going through the motions, being a mom, getting myself together. So yeah, so I went into labor on May 28th. My due date was June 4th. I had actually just scheduled my induction for my actual due date, June 4th, but I went into labor on May 28th. So if you are squeamish, if you don't like talking about women's bodies or how pregnancy happens, you know, things of that nature, TMI, please exit this video now, because I will be getting into some nasty stuff. So anywho, the morning of May 28th, it was a Friday. I was actually working from home, so I was on the computer working. Rob was off of work this day, so he was playing his game, and we were just chilling, relaxing. So I was having what I thought were normal Braxton Hicks, because I had been having them for days. I had had a few scares thinking I was going into labor, but I wasn't. So these Braxton Hicks didn't really hurt, but I was telling Rob like how I was having them. He's like, okay, well, we're gonna time them. And I'm like, well, there's no point in timing them because they're just Braxton Hicks, so it's not like I'm about to go into labor. He's like, no sis, we're timing these. So I'm like, okay, we can time them. And you're gonna time them. I'm not gonna time them. I don't want to time them. So he's like, all right, well, tell me when you have one and I'll start timing it, and then when it goes away, I'll press the timer again. So he downloaded the app and we started doing it. So I was forgetting because I'm like, they're not painful. So I'm like, sometimes when I have them, I can't even tell that I'm having them. I just can feel my stomach tightening up. So at this point, I'm like, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go make me some food. So I go downstairs and I'm cooking. And then I start to feel some pain. And I'm like, am I tripping? Or am I like having contractions? So I was telling him like, okay, I'm yelling from downstairs like, okay, press the button. Okay, press the button again, it's gone. Okay, press the button. So it's coming like back to back. He's like, well, the app says go to the hospital. And I'm like, we're not going to the hospital. Like, it's too soon to go to the hospital. Like, I'm not due for another week. I don't think this is it. I think this is just more Braxton Hicks that kind of hurt a little bit. So then I kind of got to the point where I couldn't even stand up. And I'm still trying to finish cooking my food. And I'm like, this might be it. So I finished cooking. I go upstairs. I'm eating. I'm still working. And I'm like literally eating food through contractions. Like, I'm having a contraction, I have to stop. Once it's gone, I'm finishing eating. I'm like, okay, this might be it, but I'm still skeptical. So Rob's like, this is it, you're going into labor, like you're in labor, like it's a wrap. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. So I'm like, all right. So I let my supervisor know like, yeah, this is it, I'll see you guys in 3 months. I'm out. I'm about to have this baby. But I'm moving super slow because I'm like, there's no point. We're gonna be sitting at the hospital forever anyway. There's no point to like literally run out of here right now to go to the hospital. But I did have to go soon enough to be able to get antibiotics because I was group be strep positive. So I'm like, I know I'm not even close to having this baby right now, so we're good. So I'm like, I'm gonna go take a shower, and then if it's still hurting, we're gonna go. So I go take a shower. The shower kind of calmed me a little bit. It wasn't hurting that bad in the shower. As soon as I got out, I was dying, okay? It was hurting so bad. Like, I remember asking my doctor, how will I know I'm in labor? She's like, you'll know. You won't be able to walk or talk. I'm like, I don't think so, girl. She wasn't lying. She was not lying. So Rob is playing the game at this point, and he's like trying to get off the game. I'm like, dude, keep playing the game, because I still have to go get my clothes ready. I have to finish packing my bag, finish packing Kingston's bag. Like, just play the game. I'm good. So I'm moving super slow. Like, he's like being so sweet, trying to help me and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm okay. I got it. So these contractions, I'm like, I wanted to be super sure I was in labor before I went to the hospital. So I'm literally like waiting every 5 minutes, like, okay, is another one gonna come? And it does. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta do it again, because maybe that was just like not real. I don't know what I was thinking. So I finally get all my stuff together. It's freaking pouring raining outside. Rob takes everything to the car, and we're on our way to the hospital. So as you guys probably saw in the video, we were on our way to the hospital. I was having contractions all the way there. It was terrible. So we get there, we're waiting, and they finally take us to labor and delivery, and I have to get checked. So when I get checked, she's like, yes, you're definitely in labor. She asked me if my water had broken, and I was like, no. She's like, well, I see like pooling of fluid in here or whatever, like you had a tear. And a week prior, I had thought that something like my water breaking was happening, or like I had a tear or something. But they usually say if you stand up, it'll still keep leaking, and it wasn't leaking. So I just blew it off. So she broke my water. We got there at like 1. She broke my water at 2. And the baby did his first poop inside of me. So I was nervous. I thought something would be wrong. Like I would have to get a C-section or something, because I thought I've heard that if the baby poops in you, like you have to hurry up and get him out. But that wasn't the case. So I was all good. They had to take the monitors from off my stomach and give me an internal monitor, because the monitors on my stomach was not working. So at this point, my nurse is asking me if I want to sign the papers for the epidural. And I'm like, well, if I sign these papers, do I have to get an epidural? Because I wanted to go natural. And she was like, no, you don't have to get it. So at this point, I'm like, okay. I signed the papers, and like 5 minutes later, I'm in pain. I'm like, babe, I don't think I can do this natural. Like, I need an epidural. So I told her I need an epidural. The guy was there lickety split so fast. He came there to give me the epidural. So I'm nervous as hell, because I'm thinking the epidural is gonna hurt. I'm like, I don't want my legs to be numb. Like, I want to be able to feel my legs. Like, that's scary to me. So he gives me the epidural. It does not hurt when he does it. The only thing I feel is the medicine going in, and that was just like an uncomfortable feeling, but it still didn't hurt. And I was so happy, because just like that, those contractions were gone. I didn't feel anything. So we're literally just like relaxing and chilling, because I'm not feeling anything. We're watching TV, but I'm like ready for him to come. So it's about like a few hours go by before anything really starts to happen. So about 10 o'clock, that's when shit started getting real. Like, I started actually feeling pain. I started feeling that pressure in my butt. And it started progressively getting worse. And so by like 11, I'm like calling the doctors. Well, I'm telling Rob to call the doctor. Like, I have to push. Like, I'm literally pushing every time I have a contraction, because I feel it in my butt. So he calls, they come. She's like, you're like 7 centimeters. You're not ready yet. Maybe like 30 more minutes. And I'm like, girl, but I'm literally pushing him out. Like, the monitors were literally coming out of me, because I was pushing every contraction, because it was like a forceful thing. Like, my body was doing it on its own. So she's like, maybe 30 more minutes. I'm like, okay, I cannot do 30 more minutes. I'll do 15 for you. So 15 minutes later, I'm like, babe, you have to call him back. Like, I literally am about to push him out, like, whether they're in here or not. So all the doctors and nurses came in, and they're like, yep, you're ready, it's time. So they spread me wide eagle and it's time to push. So I'm literally just laying there nervous as hell because I was so afraid to rip. I was so afraid it was gonna hurt. I was really afraid more so of like the after effects, so like ripping and like having to be sewed up, and I couldn't handle that. So we do practice pushes and then we do the real pushes. So we start pushing for real at 12 o'clock, and so it's May 29th at this point. And so I'm laying there and I'm pushing, and I'm like, y'all, I'm pooping on myself. They're like, that's fine, that means you're doing it right. And I'm like, no, but this feels wrong. Like, it feels weird. I literally just feel like I'm pooping. Like, I don't feel like I'm pushing anything out besides poop. And they're like, no, you're doing a good job. So they had me push on every contraction. So I start to get like worked up. So they give me the oxygen mask, and they're like, you know, like, relax, like, calm down, like, breathe when you push. So I just get to the point where I said, bump them contractions. I'm just gonna push, like one consistent push. Just keep pushing. Push, stop, push, stop. Like, I'm not waiting for another contraction because I need him out of me now. So they're like, oh my God, you're doing so good. You're doing so good. He's coming out. We see his head. And I'm like, you guys are lying. Like, I don't feel anything. Rob's like, no, for real. His head is coming out. I'm like, you're really lying to me because you love me and you want me to just keep pushing. Like, you guys are lying. So I'm still pushing, and then all I remember is him popping out of me. Like, I felt like I was only pushing for like 5 minutes, and then he popped out. Rob said that his head came out first and they like pulled him out. So on my next push, they pulled the rest of his body out. But to me, it just felt like a big old plop out, and then they threw him on my chest. So as soon as he's on my chest, I'm looking down and I'm bawling like, what the hell? Like, did this really just happen? Oh my God. Oh my God. All I kept saying was like, I did that shit. I did that shit. But I'm crying like a freaking baby. Like, I'm screaming, crying. So, you know, they take him and they get him all cleaned up and stuff and measure him, and he was just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I'm almost still in shock, but it was like the craziest thing ever. Like, I just created a human and then I just pushed him out. Like, what? Like, I was so amazed at what my body did. Like, it was just insane. And so I'll insert the clip of me after pushing him out. Like, my face is all swollen. Like, I'm sending people videos and pictures and stuff, and they're like cleaning me up.
Yes,
I'm just gonna put these up underneath you to help monitor the bleeding, okay? And then once your legs are able to move a little bit better. Oh, I'm sorry. You're fine.
but you did it.
Ready?
You did it.
I did it. I'm so happy.
What's up? What's up, man?
Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What's right
What's
here?
up, man?
Hi. Put your blanket back on you.
This camera is crazy.
Will you grab it with one arm? Miss Hands video. I don't want to touch the blanket. Okay, there we go. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so
Look
much.
at you. Hi, sir. It's nice to meet you. Kingston. What's his middle name?
Maurice.
Oh, your middle name?
No, that was her
Your
brother.
brother's, okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
He just got my last name, that's it.
You better hold it in. It's okay. I cried like a baby.
That's okay. My daughter only has my husband's last name too. He kept trying to put Sean in there somewhere. I was like, Sean, it's not happening in her name.
Kingsley. It's okay.
He just cussed you
Okay. All right. I'm gonna let you cry. Come ahead. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out.
How you feel?
I can't believe I did it.
You did it. My baby's strong, yo. I ain't even gonna lie. She was pushing by herself. Without even saying nothing, she just started pushing. She just went.
It was the most amazing, crazy experience ever. Like, it was such a positive experience. I went in there with low expectations because I was nervous, and I'm like, this is gonna hurt, you know. I mean, let's just keep it real. This is gonna hurt. And then it didn't. And then I didn't tear. Like, that's what I was deathly afraid of, that I was gonna tear, but I didn't. I tore internally. I had like 3 or 4 stitches internally, and I didn't even feel them. They were doing them. Like, I felt them doing them, but it didn't hurt. And I was just laying there like chilling, like, whoop, well, we're done. Can I leave the hospital now? But this was like the most amazing thing ever, like my biggest accomplishment. Like, I love my son so much. I would bring him over here, but he is knocked out and I'm not gonna wake him up. But he is just so amazing, so cute, so loving, so happy. Like, I love him more than myself, and like, it was so worth it. Like, the whole pregnancy, it was so worth it. Like, the throwing up, that was the worst, but the not being able to breathe, back hurting, so worth it. Like, he was so worth it. He's amazing. But yeah, so that was my birth story. I mean, if you have any questions, you can comment them down below and I'll answer them. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.